want the business to grow, you want the company to grow, you want your team to perform well and contribute to the growth. More impact, more capable people, more of what you said out loud. Some days it feels way heavier than what you expected, like the whole thing keeps on running through you. Maybe every real decision waits for you. Maybe a problem sits quietly for a week because the last time someone raised it, it went very badly. Maybe two of your best people root everything through you because it's just the way it always worked. And here is what I want you to hear right at the top. It's not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that no one ever showed you how culture is meant to grow within your company, within your business, or within your team. So that is what we're doing today. Clarity, not pressure, direction, no hype. Because there is a way to build a company or a team that runs on a culture that you choose. And I've watched too many good leaders miss that, not for lack of effort, but because nobody handed them the map. Grab something to write with. This one's worth a few notes. So, hello again. Marderé Birkill here with the Heart of Leadership podcast, helping you increase positive impact in your team and your organization and build the culture that carries the business. I work with growing technical companies like engineering firms, manufacturing, oil and gas, contractors. We work with the businesses that build and run things. And today, we're on one question that quietly decides how far you can grow. Is the culture running your company the culture you designed? Or is it the one that formed while you were busy building the business? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes and you'll have a clear way to tell the difference and 3 moves that make this week start authoring it on purpose. So let's get practical. What does this look like in the field? I worked with an engineering firm that grew from 60 people to 180 in a very short period of time. Great reputation, full order book, the kind of growth most owners desire. But every quarter, more decisions were landing on the 2 founders' desks. More problems were reaching them later than they would have liked to see it. Nobody designed it that way. Just early on, running everything through the 2 founders was fast and it made sense and it was safe. But the company grew and the habit didn't grow with it. So 180 people at this time have the same habit that the 60 people had a few years ago, which meant that projects stalled the minute founders traveled. And the managers had quietly learned not to make those decisions. That's not a people problem. Those are very capable managers. It's a culture problem. And nobody chose that culture. So here's the reframe I want you to take from this. Every company has a culture. Every team has a culture. And the question is whether you chose the culture that you have. Do you have the culture that is going to help you achieve the goals? Do you have the culture that supports your external brand? It's a different question, but it's similar. We'll talk about that one next time. The culture is always being built. Every meeting, every decision, everything you tolerate, every decision you don't make, every problem you reward someone for raising, every problem you shove under the carpet. The only real question is whether you are the author or whether this is happening by accident. So, practical, because I don't want to leave you with a nice idea not knowing how to use it. There are 4 places where you can see right away whether your culture is by design or default. Number 1, decisions. Culture by design, decisions would sit closest to the work with guardrails. Culture by default, they drift throughout the organization until somebody's willing to call it. Usually the owner or the highest leader that it can reach in that period of time. 2, conflict. Culture by design, disagreements get raised early and they are worked through. Culture by default, conflict just goes underground. It shows up as rework, missed handoffs, or a resignation that you did not see coming. 3, accountability. Culture by design, a dropped commitment gets dealt with right away. in a very straightforward conversation. Culture by default, it varies by manager. Some managers will deal with it, some will push it under the carpet, some will take the task back, reassign it, or do it themselves. Somewhere, standards are real, and sometimes standards are optional. By design, those standards would all be real. 4. Standards. By design, what good looks like is shared and reinforced. There's clarity about what good looks like. Culture by default, quality depends on who happens to be doing the work that day. We'll see. And this is not just my read from the field. The research is very blunt about it. MIT Sloan looked at more than 1 million people, employee reviews, and found that a toxic culture is the strongest predictor of people leaving, about 10 times more powerful than pay. In other words, people will leave a toxic culture for less pay and less benefits because there is no price on mental health. Gallup looked at millions of employees, and their research estimates that managers account for at least 70% of the difference between engagement from one team to the next. So when we put those two together, it's very clear. Culture isn't a soft backdrop. It is built team by team by what leaders reinforce, by how leaders lead. And those are leaders at all levels, from your first time team lead to the CEO. So if you leave it by default, this culture will get built. But by accident, if you leave it to default and you have a larger organization, you're going to have multiple cultures, because it very much depends on how the unit leader works with a team. And cultures by default, the bull shows up eventually. Turnover, delay, rework. So where does AI fit in? Because we cannot ignore AI. I know it's on your mind. AI doesn't create your culture. AI is also not going to fix your culture. AI is revealing the culture that you have because it speeds it up. And we all know if something is not tight, the infrastructure is not very strong, it speeds up, it unravels at the ends. If AI speeds up your business and decisions are already bottlenecked at the top, it will get bottlenecked faster. The culture you designed puts that speed to work. The culture by default just runs on old habits, quicker, faster, with more velocity. So what can we do about this? Not a reorg. You probably don't need one. Just purposely start defining your culture. So there are 3 small moves you can make immediately. Name one culture norm you choose on purpose. Just one for now. A behavior that you would love to be true when you're not in the room. And say it out loud to the people who need to hear it a few times. Be consistent about this. Number 2. Have a look at where your culture is carrying the load it was never built to hold. Look at last month. Which decisions climbed to you that could have been held closer to work? That's your default culture, showing you where it strains. And number 3, reinforce it in the moment, in an ordinary, real moment. The next time somebody raises a problem early or holds a standard that was not easy to do, notice it out loud, on the fly, in the moment, 10 seconds. That is a design decision. Small habits, little bits. And I'll be straight with you. Building a culture on purpose does cost something. It means being consistent. When it's faster to just make the call yourself. It means letting a manager learn by handling something they could have handled quicker. That's real, but it's a lot cheaper than staying the bottleneck of your company. And here's what changes when you do this. Decisions start landing closer to the work. Problem solvers, while they're still small, saving a lot of grief. And your best people stop waiting for you and start owning the outcomes that were handed to them. They start feeling that there's meaning and mattering in their role in their business. And the business starts to run on a culture that's chosen, not the one inherited from some busy time way back when. So if you're not sure whether your culture was built by design or default, take 10 minutes. We have a short diagnostic called the culture capacity assessment. It shows you where your operating culture is carrying the load well and where it is quietly straining. The link is below. Take it, bring one thing that services to your leadership team, have a conversation. Or we're always there to have conversations with you as well. Culture is always being built every single day, one behavior at a time. Let's make sure it's the one you choose. Until next week.